here's another short practice for your 15-minute yoga challenge. We'll be working on a practice for our hips today. So for props, you'll need a block or a rolled blanket or towel and a strap or a belt. So initially we're going to come down onto our back. So just come down and get settled on your back. You can have your knees bent with your feet on the floor. And just settle into the floor for a few breaths. So just allowing your body to let go of needing to hold yourself in any position. And if you have any issues here with tension or strain in your lower back, you can always come onto a Z-fold blanket that we've explored in class and see if that helps settle a little bit. So noticing here, we're going to maintain a neutral position in the pelvis as we bring the right knee in towards the belly. And you're going to bring your hand onto your knee, or perhaps bring a strap around your thighs if you have a little bit of difficulty reaching that leg. And then you're going to just pause here for several breaths, focusing on taking your breath down into the lower belly. And then slowly begin to start taking this right leg into a circle. So you're moving the leg bone in the hip socket. We want the pelvis to stay quiet. So the pelvis just stays level on the floor. And you want to try to find the smoothest range of motion for your leg bone in your hip socket, so that it's not clicky, clunky, or jerky. And once you've explored that movement in one direction, change the direction of that circle. And just keep your breath nice and fluid. And then come back to center. And just pause in the center and bring the right foot back to the floor. We're going to take the right leg again, exploring your movement in a position called ankle to knee. So the idea is to bring your right ankle onto your left thigh without moving your pelvis. So you're going to be bringing the right knee in towards the belly, focusing on rotating the leg in the hip socket and bringing the ankle onto the opposite thigh without moving the pelvis at all. If you found that your pelvis moved or shifted as you brought the leg up in an attempt to bring the ankle onto the thigh, if your pelvis tipped over, just move that right leg only as far as the pelvis stays nice and quiet. And just notice that that's what the available range is for your leg bone to move in your hip socket. So the goal isn't necessarily to get the ankle onto the thigh, but the goal is to explore what movement is available in your leg and hip socket. And then from there, we're going to take it to the left side. So bring your left knee in towards your belly. And again, either taking the left hand onto the knee or using a strap around your thigh. Just settle here for a few breaths again. Focusing on bringing your breath down into the belly. Nice, slow, long breathing. And then again, exploring your movement of your leg bone in your hip socket. So you're going to be moving the left leg in a circle. And that circle might be really small. It might be a little bit bigger than mine. It all depends on whether or not your pelvis is staying nice and quiet. And if there's some restriction in the hip, you might notice that the opposite leg might want to try to grip or hold the pelvis nice and quiet. Try to notice if you can move in a range where that opposite leg just stays relaxed, and then changing your direction. And again, we want to be in a range where we're not creating any clicking or clunking or tension or pain And then I'm going to again pause in the center and then bring the foot to the floor. And then exploring ankle to knee on this left side. You're going to bring your left knee in and then focus on rotating the leg in the hip socket to bring the ankle onto the thigh. So again, just explore what movement is available to your leg in your hip socket. You can repeat that a few times. And then go ahead and bring that foot back to the floor. With your yoga strap or belt, you're going to take your belt behind your thighs and you're going to buckle it up so that the strap is about mid-thigh height. And have it so that your leg bones are hip width distance apart. And then go ahead and bring your hands down into the front of your pelvis. You're going to feel for your hip flexors. So you're going to lift your right foot off the floor and just feel for the muscle that gets thick underneath the fingers. You might have to play around to find that a little bit. And then check out the left one. So you should have a hip flexor on each side. And then just settle in. Allow your body to rest. And then as we press the thighs into your strap, I'd like you to use only as much pressure into the strap as your hip flexors remain unactive. And then release the strap. And so you're going to go for about 10 of those, pressing them out and release. We also don't want to have our buttocks get involved with this. And pay attention to whether your knees are moving your thighs or if your thighs are moving your knees. So if we're really driving from the knees, that's a little bit of a dysfunctional pattern. And I've lost count, so I'm going to finish off with about 4 more. And once you finish those, go ahead and take the strap off your legs. And then you're going to take your block and you're going to place your block between your thighs. So you want it fairly close to the pubic bone and the short end of the block sticking forward if you're using a yoga block, and if you're using a towel, same idea. So once again, you're going to be feeling for your hip flexors here, and all we're going to be doing is gently squeezing the block and release. So the pelvis should stay nice and still. The buttocks don't need to help out. The hip flexors can stay quiet. And using only as much effort as is required for the movement. So pay attention to your jaw, your shoulders. Everything else should stay relaxed. And you shouldn't feel this in your lower back or in your SI joints. Just nice, easy movement. And then finish off with this last one. And releasing that block. From there, you're going to bring your right knee back in towards the belly. And then just go ahead and explore those knee and hip circles once again. And just notice if there's a change to the feeling of the movement. Your range may be different. There just may be a sense of a little bit more ease around in that movement. And then taking that in the opposite direction. Pelvis remaining quiet. And then bring the right foot to the floor. And again, we're going to explore ankle to knee. So you're going to bring your right knee in towards the belly, rotating the thigh in the hip socket and bringing the ankle onto the thigh. And just notice if there's, again, another sense of more ease or lightness around that movement. Just less effort required for the movement. And then you're going to take the left leg in And explore your knee and hip circle again. And just again, notice what's different. And then change direction. And then bring that foot to the floor. And then experiment with your ankle to knee. So just with those little movements, I have a little bit better range of motion. I notice it more on my left because my left side's a little more stuck than my right. And then bringing that back down. From there, you're going to bring your right knee in again towards your belly, and we're just going to do a little work for our hamstring here. So with the knee drawn in towards the belly, you're going to take your strap and place it around the ball of the foot. So when you extend the knee to bring the foot towards the sky or the ceiling, what I want you to think about doing is keeping your leg bone in the angle that it is at the hip. So when you extend the knee, the thigh bone doesn't move away from your belly, and then you bend the knee back in. So we're not looking at totally extending and moving the thigh away from the belly. You want to keep the thigh drawn in and just extend the leg to a comfortable place where the thigh doesn't move away, and you're going to notice that your pelvis stays in the same position as well. So you're going to bend and straighten. And bend and straighten a few more times. Just easy movement. And then lastly, we'll take the foot towards the sky, thigh still stays in the same position. And then flex your ankle by bringing your toes to your nose. Point the foot away, bring the toes to the nose. Point the foot away, and bring the toes to the nose once again. And just pause here for a few breaths. And just notice, even though you're holding onto the strap, try to find some ease in your upper body. And pause for 3 more breaths. And then releasing that right foot back down and bring that right foot to the floor. We'll do that on the opposite side. So initially you're going to bring your left knee in, maintaining the angle that your thigh is at, taking the strap around your thigh. When you bring the foot to the sky, the thigh doesn't change that position. And then you're just going to bend and straighten. So we're just moving through the knee joint. Again, no pain, no clicking, no clunking. And just playing with what's available in the length of your hamstring to extend that foot. And then you're going to take it to the top again, so the thigh is still in that same angle, and then we're going to move into ankle flexion. So you're flexing the toes towards the nose, pointing the foot away. Flex the toes to the nose and point the foot away. So that movement should just be happening at your ankle joint. Your leg and your knee stay in the same position, your upper leg and your knee. And then you're going to flex the ankle, and you're just adding a little extra pressure onto the strap, still being in a gentle stretch, and pause for a few breaths. And then releasing the leg back down to the floor. From there, go ahead and bring your right knee in towards your belly. Perhaps you can bring the left knee in as well. and then clasping onto either the knees or the shins, or the back of the thighs or the top of the shins. And then from there, you're going to just take both knees in opposite directions. So now we're going to do double knee and hip circles. As you're moving those leg bones in the hip sockets, your pelvis again is remaining nice and quiet. And then changing the direction of those circles. And pausing in the center, bringing the feet back to the floor. Take the soles of your feet together and drop your knees out to the sides. Depending on your range of motion that's available to do this as a restorative posture, you can support your leg with a block or a pillow if you have an extra pillow, a couple of pillows around. And just pause here for a few breaths, letting the inner thighs lengthen and open. Take your breath down to your belly. And then with your arms out at your sides, go ahead and bring your knees back together. Bringing the knees and the ankles right together, you're going to start to drop the legs over to the left, letting the right side of your pelvis start to come off the floor and come into your twist, only as far as your right shoulder stays on the floor. So your range may not be the same as what mine is, so what I'd encourage you to do is come to a point where you're in a comfortable twist. You can always support the legs with a block, or if you have a bolster or pillows, and just find the place that there's a comfortable stretch, and that right shoulder again is nice and easy on the floor. And depending on where you are in your twist, you may want to invite your head into the twist by looking towards your right hand. And again, just take a few more breaths here. And then on your inhale, you're going to come back up to center. So think about your pelvis coming to the floor and the legs follow the movement of the pelvis. To come on to the opposite side, you're going to start to bring the legs over towards the right, letting them come towards the floor. The left leg's going to follow, the pelvis follows. And your left shoulder is going to stay easy on the floor. And just supporting your legs as you need. And then again, if it's available and you like to turn the head to look towards the left hand, feel free to do so. And take some nice nourishing breaths. And then again on an inhale, you're going to come back to center, so bringing the pelvis up and the legs to follow. And coming back to center. And just pause at the beginning posture that we came into, which was just lying on our back with your knees bent and your feet on your floor. And just notice what's changed. So that finishes off our hip practice for this 15-minute challenge. If you can decide to add on, go ahead and continue to work with either your hips or your shoulders or your spine, and or you can just continue on with your day. Namaste.